Today we're going beyond the surface and into the secret life of Abraham through the lens of Jewish tradition and the wisdom of the Talmud. Who was Abraham really? What drove him to become the father of nations? Let's uncover the hidden layers of his life story, starting from his early years. In Jewish tradition, Abraham's story doesn't just begin with God's call at age 75. His journey starts much earlier, as a young boy living in the idolatrous city of Ur. According to the Talmud, little Abram was a bit of a rebel. While everyone around him worshipped idols, Abraham began to question everything. The Talmud tells us that when Abram was just a child, he looked up at the sky and realized that the sun, moon, and stars couldn't possibly be gods. They were part of something bigger. In one famous midrashic tale, Abram's father Terach was actually an idol maker. One day, Abram destroys all of his father's idols, except for the largest one. When Terach confronts him, Abram says, "The big idol did it." Of course, his father doesn't believe him, and this becomes a symbolic moment where Abram reveals that these idols are powerless. They're not gods at all. This was the beginning of his belief in one true God. But it didn't take long for Abram's revolutionary ideas to get him into trouble. According to the Talmud, Abram's defiance of idolatry caught the attention of King Nimrod, the ruler of Ur. Nimrod wasn't pleased with Abram's ideas about a single invisible God. He demanded that Abram bow down to fire, which was considered divine. Here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. When Abram refused, Nimrod had him thrown into a fiery furnace. This event, known in Jewish tradition as the fiery furnace test, is one of the first major demonstrations of Abraham's faith. And guess what? According to the Midrash, God performed a miracle. Abram walked out of the furnace unharmed. This story isn't found in the Bible itself, but is passed down through Jewish oral tradition, giving us a deeper understanding of Abraham's unshakable faith. Fast forward to when Abram is 75 and he's now living in Haran. Here's where the story aligns more with the biblical narrative, but the Talmud adds even more fascinating details. When God calls Abram to leave his home and journey to Canaan, it wasn't just a promise of land, it was a test of trust. God says, "Go forth from your land, your birthplace, and your father's house," but doesn't even tell him where he's going. Imagine the courage it took for Abram to step into the unknown. The Talmud explains that this wasn't just a journey of geography, it was a journey of the soul. God was preparing Abram for his role as the father of many nations, but before that, Abram had to prove his dedication. And let's not forget, he was still childless at this point, so when God promised to make him the father of a great nation, it seemed impossible. Yet, Abram believed. According to Jewish tradition, this level of faith is what makes him Avraham Avinu, Abraham, our father. Now, one of the most significant moments in Abraham's life is when God changes his name. Originally called Abram, meaning exalted father, God adds a single letter, and his name becomes Abraham, meaning father of many nations. According to the Talmud, this change isn't just symbolic. The added "hey" represents the divine breath, God's spirit entering into Abram's destiny. It's a sign that Abraham is now entering into a new phase of his mission, a mission that transcends just his family and reaches all of humanity. In the next part, we'll dive into the story of Isaac, the promise, and the ultimate test of Abraham's faith. Make sure to subscribe, like, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss it. What part of Abraham's secret life surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below.